Your brand may be staying on top of current trends, but are you agile enough to stay relevant, resilient, and successful as customers, competition, and the world continues to change at a breakneck pace? I'm thrilled to share the newly revised version of my first book, The Agile Brand. I'm calling it The Agile Brand Revisited. It's been updated to reflect our continually changing world, and it provides 7 principles that form the backbone of an agile brand, offering detailed insights and actionable steps for incorporating them into your business strategy. This is the book that started it all, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's now available in print and digital formats and available everywhere. Learn more by going to the Agile Brand Guide website at www.agilebrandguide.com. Welcome to Season 5 of The Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom, where we talk with enterprise and technology platform leaders about the people, processes, and platforms that make marketing and customer experience successful, scalable, and sustainable. This is what creates an agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advisor and consultant for Fortune 1000 marketing and CX leaders and teams as principal and chief strategist at GK5A, and best-selling author, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and agile certified coach. The Agile Brand podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To sign up for the Agile Brand newsletter and get the latest insights and articles on marketing technology and CX, or to purchase a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, go to gregkihlstrom.com. You can also find all my books on Amazon and other retailers. And now on to the show. The following episode was recorded at PegaWorld Inspire in Las Vegas, and I'm looking forward to this topic as well as sharing the conversation with my guests today. Today we're going to talk about the meaningful use of AI in the customer experience and doing it at scale for the enterprise. To help me discuss this topic, I'm joined by Shelia Anderson, U.S. Chief Information Officer at Aflac. Shelia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's get started by why don't you give a little background on yourself as well as your role at Aflac?
Absolutely. Thank you. I have been at Aflac for 10 months. Have been in the insurance industry as a CIO for the past 10 plus years. I'm joining Aflac from a different side of insurance, from property and casualty, moving over into supplemental insurance here at Aflac. So very excited to lead the digital services organization through the transformation that we have in front of us.
Wonderful. And so a lot of people listening are probably familiar with the Aflac brand through, TV commercials, all those kinds of things. But can you give a little context on, what exactly does Aflac do?
Absolutely. Aflac is actually in the supplemental benefits space. And if you think about that, it's really covering the financial burden that your typical medical insurance may not cover. So think of it as covering that gap. We have products that are very much focused on the individual, and both individual and group. On the individual side, things like accident, health, wellness. We actually have a cancer product that is probably our oldest product. The cancer product is one that we founded originally with the company. And then on the group side, we actually have recent acquisitions in the past few years where we're growing our group dental and vision business, as well as our PLADS business, which is focused on like disability and leave management. So those are newer pieces of our company that we're investing in and growing today.
Wonderful. So let's get started talking about, so we're here at PegaWorld Inspire here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So we're in day 1 and 1.5 of the show. A lot of great energy, and then a lot of great talks already, including your keynote this morning. So I wanted to get your take on a few things. And so, being here at the conference, there's still plenty more to come. But when you gave your talk this morning, you had mentioned that your organization has approached things as one digital Aflac, and mentioned a couple things here. So using technology to make things easier, prioritizing from the customer, and then creating a seamless experience across channels. Can you talk a little bit about how this one digital Aflac, what exactly it means, and maybe first from the internal teams that serve your customers?
Absolutely. I'll talk about both of those. One, the internal teams, and then secondly, the view from a customer lens. So one digital Aflac is absolutely our strategy to bring the company together, truly to have that single integrated customer experience. So what that means on the inside of our organization is really focusing on prioritizing all the work that we do from a customer lens and also evaluating it against the value that it drives for our business. So those are some of the key lenses that we look at. And then internally to our organization, of course, we are an agile organization, so very much aligned in agile teams to deliver value as quickly as we can. So we align those teams to work against those priorities in the organization. We actually do have a focus organization, one focused on our individual business. We have a set of teams focused on our group business. And then we have a shared services team, which is where our Pega team actually sits. So we have things like our Pega Center of Excellence there. Anything that goes across the enterprise that's truly a shared capability or has the ability to be scaled across the enterprise normally would sit in that team. Also things like our data and analytics team, focusing on every aspect of data and our data strategy for the future. That all sits in that organization. And then of course, I have other teams. I have a Hatch Innovation Lab that supports that. If you think about innovation, Horizon 1, 2, and 3, that team is focused on Horizon 2 and 3 innovation for the organization. And other supporting teams as well, very much like our architecture team, supporting architecture direction. I also have a team in Northern Ireland and Belfast that aligns and helps us to deliver a lot of these innovative solutions. So really great organization. I'm super proud of the work that they're all doing to drive the company forward.
Yeah, and that's great. A lot of teams, but all unified, not siloed.
They're very unified in how we think about integrating across the company. One of the opportunities that we, as well as many companies have, is we're moving to the future while managing and unwinding from technical debt. Every company still has technical debt. So it's a fine balance of making sure that you have a path to the future. But we also have some backwards integration that we have to integrate into our existing capabilities and systems until we get those upgraded as well. So that's a lot of the fine balance. As part of our One Digital Aflac strategy, we're very much focused on things like reusability. My team hears me say, let's start at 50%. So how do we do that? Removing redundancy out of the system. We're not there yet, especially from a customer experience perspective, focusing on a true seamless experience. And what does that mean? It means integrating, removing the redundancy, measuring your experience from a customer lens.
And so how does the Pega platform specifically fit into this One Digital Aflac?
Absolutely. The Pega platform is one of our core foundational platforms that we've invested in. Our initial focus has been largely in the contact center area, and we've seen huge benefits. You heard about that this morning. So really focused on reducing what I'll call a lot of disjointed processes that are very intertwined, but not necessarily connected for a seamless experience. So that has been a lot of our initial focus.
Yeah, and so that's a great segue to, you did mention some very compelling results in your keynote. Mm-hmm. So 33% reduction in handling time for claims form requests, 65% reduction in handling time for client authentication processes. How do obviously there's other measurements I'm sure
yes.
that you're taking into account, but how do these stats as well as kind of the bigger picture really keep things customer centric?
Yes. Well, the first way that we keep things customer centric is I actually have a user experience and design team. So we've actually centralized that as a shared services team. And so anytime that we're investing in a new capability or significantly impacting the customer experience, we lead with that team. So they're all skilled and trained in user experience design and research. And so we very much have that discipline that we've instilled and on the front end of almost all of the work that we do to drive those experiences, and not only to drive them, but then to measure the results as well and pivot if we need to. So that's a critical piece of what we do. And that team is sitting outside as a shared services team, so they work across all of the initiatives that we have at Aflac.
Before we continue, let's take a quick break. If you're like many marketing leaders today, you're inundated with a need to improve the customer experience across an increasing number of channels and touch points, all while ensuring your team is performing well, innovating, and continuously improving. So how do you find the time to determine what's next for you, your team, your brand, and your customers? My company, GK5A, can help. Whether it is advisory services, evaluation of marketing technology platforms and solutions, or digital agencies and implementation partners, or assistance with creating strategic roadmaps and prioritization of efforts. We've done it all and served as an ally to Fortune 1000 brands in industries like financial services, healthcare, consumer electronics, professional services, and more. You can learn more about these services and contact us at www.gk5a. That's www.gk5a.com. Now let's get back to the show.
So the next topic I wanted to talk about is specifically AI and the customer experience and how a company like Aflac approaches that, because it has to be done at scale and in a way that maintains the same level of customer service and customer experience that prior to using AI and things. So you also work in an industry that's famously data driven, so the insurance industry. So when did Aflac first start utilizing AI tools in its business, and how was it used to start?
Yes, so I would say we started really looking at that out of necessity to innovate during the pandemic. It forced a lot of changes, and so I think Aflac, along with many companies, had to start thinking more creatively about how do I enable my business differently. And the area that we actually started focusing on as our first arena to start working with AI in was in our area of claims. And we chose what we call our lower complexity claims, and we wanted to focus on freeing up our agents who at the time, right, everyone's having to call now and use technology instead of that one-to-one interaction. So that burden on the agents became, on our customer service reps, became very, very much important. So our goal was to reduce any unnecessary time being spent with those agents and also to provide faster service to our customers. So we tackled those lower complexity claims, implemented an AI solution, a lot of test and learn in the beginning. That was, I believe, in like 2019, 2020. We started working on that. And with that, we also had to build out the core foundations around AI and machine learning. We actually used, I think, Pega as part of a workflow process for that. So it was a little bit of a hybrid model in the beginning. We're actually emerging that and scaling it now. So we are scaling it to multiple lines of business at Aflac. And the beauty is once you implement something like that and you make the initial investment and you work through getting the model refined, when you scale it, there's no added investment other than the consumption of basically your hosting, right? If you have it in AWS Cloud or Pega Cloud or wherever it's at, that's really your added cost. There's no true added cost to the engineering side of it.
Yeah. So you touched on this a little bit, but things got accelerated during the pandemic for digital transformation in general at Aflac, as well as many other organizations. You talked a little bit how you prioritize some of that stuff, but I wanted to dive a little deeper in there. So what was the thought process in what you started with first on this road? Because there's probably lots of things that any organization, particularly one of your size, could do. What's the thought process?
Well, at the time, there was a driving need to simplify the processes because our business was asking for that. I was not at Aflac at the time. I've been here 10 months, so actually had the pleasure of joining the organization while this was already in flight. So actually, we were already starting to see the benefit when I joined. So that's a great spot to be in when you have an area of your business that's going well, and this is certainly one of them. But certainly it was around streamlining and fixing some of those many disparate connect points. As I mentioned in the keynote this morning, you would have up to 50 points of contact to actually resolve a call with a customer. How many people are going to have patience to sit on a line while a customer service rep is trying to do all of that work behind the scenes? So that was really the biggest challenge that we had to solve for. And certainly it was to improve that overall customer experience and to start streamlining, honestly, the amount of effort that it took across the entire organization to accomplish that simple task of resolving a customer request.
Yeah. And so, this is the classic people, process, and platform
Absolutely.
all working together, right?
Absolutely.
So it's and then I would imagine that the Pega platform had a key role in scaling that, right? So you're scaling people, process, and platform.
Absolutely, you are. That's correct.
I mean, it sounds like some of the on the people side of it, you were unifying teams and
unifying teams. There's learning in the beginning. I think where we've been with Pega now for 6 or 7 years. So we're at a point of maturing some of those practices and processes. For example, our governance process turned into now a center of excellence, where we're very much focused on an empowered learning organization, which is where you want to be as a team, right? Where you're sharing best practices. There's not a lot of oversight to that. The teams are doing it on their own. So there's a high adoption, a great understanding of the capabilities of the tooling as well. And the teams are also very focused as new products coming out. We're always listening, learning, and then adopting those and trying them out.
So how do you measure success here? Obviously there's customer-facing metrics, but how do you measure things internally to know that you're moving in the right direction and growing in the way you need to?
Yeah. As an organization, of course, we have opportunities in that space, but from an internal development perspective, we actually are on a journey with DevOps as well. So we absolutely measure things like your DORA metrics, all of your standard Agile metrics around team performance. We absolutely measure that so that we can see how productive is a team being. Are we getting the results that we're expecting out of the team? And if not, how do we pivot? What are the learnings? Or what type of coaching do we need to have in our teams to help them to perform at a better level? And we're not really measuring team against team, so it's not that we are saying you have to be at this level. It's really about that Agile mindset of improving over time so that each team is getting better over time.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to hear that on the Agile Brand podcast. We love it.
Absolutely. It's so important. And then for teams to really be empowered to own the work and to drive it forward on their own, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Last topic I wanted to touch on here, there was talk at the conference about the autonomous enterprise. And so this is something I think for those that have been using and organizations that have been using a platform like Pega, not a wholly new concept, but I like this idea and this terminology around it. How do you think about the growth of an organization like yours in terms of an autonomous enterprise?
I think is a great goal to have. It will take some time to truly, if I think about what a full autonomous enterprise looks like, we're not there yet, I would say. We're on a mission to get there. Some of that, I think, ties also into what your technology footprint looks like, how quickly you can adopt these newer technologies to really be autonomous, right? Because that means things are seamless, they're integrated, you're having a almost that seamless customer experience that you're looking for. I think as long as we have a lot of technical debt until you're able to unwind from some of that or either start solving for the experience side of that differently, that's always going to be a challenge. Yeah. But I absolutely believe in that.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
It's a cool concept. I think we would all like to get there. I would say in pockets we're getting there, but as a full enterprise, we're not there yet. But it's okay. It's okay. I've been in the insurance industry for many years, and you see companies solving for these same types of challenges and companies at different levels of maturity. So our goal at Aflac is to be better, right? So it's just to be better every day and to adopt as much of the new capabilities as we can while recognizing we still have some things to work on with technical debt.
Well, Shelia, thanks so much for joining the show. Very last question for you here. As you think about the months and years ahead, what are some of the next best actions that you and your team are going to be taking?
Absolutely. Well, I can share with you some of the other pieces of my digital strategy as well, which Pega also is a big piece of. We're actually embarking, I would say a little bit late on starting our full journey to the cloud. That we're in the middle of that. We're focusing very much on our distributed platforms right now. And then we'll also be tackling our mainframe strategy. So those are big pieces of work that we have coming. Absolutely will take us to the next level once we accomplish that. And then it will also give us the opportunity to truly transform all of those applications as well. So we have quite a bit of work cut out for us in the next few years. I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm sure our teams are as well.
Again, I'd like to thank Shelia Anderson, U.S. Chief Information Officer at Aflac, for joining the show. You can learn more about Shelia and Aflac by following the links in the show notes, and stay tuned for PegaWorld Inspire 2024, coming next June at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Thanks again for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe on your podcast channel of choice and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkilstrom.com. That's GregKilstrom.com. To get a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, visit my website, or you can find it on Amazon or other retailers. The Agile brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.